Love finances the other F word and want to support the show? Become a patron by going to patreon.com/FTOFW. You'll get special features, a shout out on the air, and early releases. Or if you prefer, pick up some merchandise at financestheotherfword.com.
As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, as wonderful an attorney as I am, and as good as Stormy is at whatever it is he does, please do note that anything said in our podcasts are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, Stormy Andrews, founder of Yokel Local Marketing, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finances the Other F Word. And today we finally have Stormy back. Woohoo! So the
I'm
gang
back.
is all here.
And we're all here.
We're all here. And of course, as we told our listeners last week on our very first episode back, you were getting your balls attended to. So everything's going good. Were you using frozen peas? I need to know.
What?
Were you using?
You told them?
Oh, Zoe told them because she has no class.
I thought it was okay.
Wow, Zoe, you put it out there like that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well,
You're always
so I
talking
did
about
not
my
have to, you know
bush.
what I think? So you're going to talk about my snip.
Yep.
And she did.
Interesting. So, you know what? Actually, I'm like, man, so I was proud of them because, they gave me 5 cuts. And, 5 stitches. Now, 1 stitch was the week prior when they said, hey, we had to go in there, but I had to do like 2 cuts on each one or something. But I didn't have to. I bought 3 packs of peas, but I didn't have to use them. Didn't have to put any ice. Didn't take any aspirin or Advil or any of that other stuff. I was back at it. And then so I called the doctor after the surgery on Thursday. I'm like, hey, doc, when can I have sex again? He was like, Monday. So Monday, I didn't have sex. But he said I could have on Monday.
It's cautious. You're being cautious. I totally dig it. I also did not have sex on Monday. Just saying.
Oh, just
For our listeners, if you did not
Neither
have
did
sex, you neither did you. So our listeners, if you did not have sex on Monday, call our number. What's our number? It's
Damn
something. Just call the number and tell us you didn't have sex on Monday either.
Yeah, 775. I should really memorize this. 775 775-537-4352, and then et cetera, et cetera. So let's get into this. So we've had enough, but before we do, hey, we need to welcome a new country, Zoe.
We are welcoming a new country and a new state.
Ooh.
A new state? Wait, we haven't got all 50 states?
Not yet.
Almost.
We're damn close. We're so
Very
close.
What kind of podcast is this?
I know.
It's the best. They both start with the letter A as well. So,
Alabama?
Oh, we are not doing this. I am not having you guess.
Arkansas?
You drive me fucking crazy, both of you.
Alaska?
Yes, that is the state. So welcome, Alaska. We are not doing this with the country.
Antarctica?
No, that's not it. Okay, and then we have a new country, Zoe.
The new country is Angola.
That was going to be my third guess.
Oh, well.
Let me get to Angola.
I didn't. You
Angola?
can go to Angola if you'd like.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, but yes.
Send us a postcard. Send us a postcard, whatever.
Yep, absolutely. Welcome,
a
Angola.
picture of your balls in Angola.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
Angola, are you called an Angolian?
I believe so. That's what I would think.
Sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, Angolians. If we're wrong, call our phone number and let us know.
Which you're going to have to go to the fucking website because I can't keep remembering this.
And also let us know if you had sex on Monday.
On Monday, let us know. Absolutely.
Because so far we're 0 for 3 on this podcast.
Right.
So today we're going to be talking about, and I didn't realize when I originally wanted to talk about this, I didn't realize how more top of mind it would actually be. We're actually getting ready to talk about the antitrust lawsuit against Facebook. But since we've been all three back on the podcast, there's been a myriad of different things that have happened. We had a riot on the Capitol. We had a new president sworn in. And but between all of that, Twitter dropped Trump's personal, or well, it was his, actually, it was at the real Donald Trump, right? It was his personal one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they canceled his account, and there's been a lot of, you know, hubbub about it and about big tech having control over certain things. So before we get into the antitrust lawsuit for a proposed monopoly that they're saying Facebook has, Zoe, what do you think about them dropping Twitter's account, or Twitter dropping Trump's account?
I think they can do what they want. I mean, they're a private company, right? Aren't they?
Yeah, they're private.
Yeah, they can do what they want, and I'm all for it personally.
How about you, Stormy?
Well, do stores still have the ability of putting no shoes, no shirt, no service?
Last time I checked.
Yeah.
Can they enforce that?
Last time I checked.
Do I have a constitutional right to go into stores with no shoes, no shirts and say, damn it, you got to serve me anyway?
You do, I think, but
Do they have to serve me, or can they still throw me out of my ass?
yeah, I think they can still throw you out, right?
Yeah.
Well, then I guess Twitter can do the same. I just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Same with the whole mask thing, right?
Yeah,
throw 'em out.
exactly.
It's I would imagine a private company, you know, because with the private company, they get to make decisions, and if they make the wrong decisions, it hurts them in the bottom line. They're not a government. And I don't think there's anything in the Constitution that says I have a right to be on Facebook. Matter of fact, I wish Facebook would ban me, because Facebook takes a lot of my time.
Yeah. Well, okay. So with the whole Twitter thing, yes, they are a private company. My deal is that I did not agree with how Hobby Lobby treated the, you know, the birth control nor the LGBTQ community, but they're a private company.
They can do what they want.
And they can do what they want to, but Twitter is also a private company, so you can't have it both ways. But the thing that confused the hell out of me was that everybody was pissed off because they took away Trump's platform. He was the president of the United States. If that motherfucker wanted to call a briefing like that, I mean, it's not like he could never, if he's the one who chose the platform to release policy decisions. Twitter is not a governmental agency that he used. No, he was the president. He had a variety of platforms. He called how many times Fox and Friends and talked to them for an hour and a half. I mean, just the idea that because Twitter banned him, that somehow he just lost all of his voice and his power to communicate is ridiculous, in my opinion. He was the fucking president, so he could have still communicated.
And let me ask you a question. Here. Is he the first person that Twitter's ever banned from their platform?
No.
So they've banned other people.
Correct.
And they banned people for
going against their policies.
Their guidelines, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So apparently he went against their guidelines and their policies. Is that a fair statement?
That's what they said.
So if they go against it, so if he gets an exception, shouldn't everyone get an exception? Or should we say that some people are above the law, some people aren't because they're popular and not? I think that is against the Constitution, because what does the Constitution say? Something about you know, freedom for, you know, everyone has there's something about equal rights and protection and all that other stuff. I think they've even given it to you women.
Oh, well, that's news to me. That's
Is they?
fantastic.
They'll be letting us vote and drive next.
Oh my
Great.
God.
What?
Watch out.
What?
Well, watch out with me
Oh
driving.
my gosh, things are getting crazy.
So let's get into so for those of you who have listened to this podcast before, guess what I'm going to say? Men Who Built America series talked about monopolies. We also did another podcast episode called Disney the Monopoly. We talk about monopolies a lot because they happen a lot more than we would like to. And the most recent one, as we just mentioned, Facebook is now under the gun under a pretty hefty Federal Trade Commission lawsuit that was leveled against them December 9th of last year. And the lawsuit is alleging that the company illegally maintained a personal social networking monopoly. So I went ahead and I pulled up some numbers, because if you think of social media, even if you don't use it, the first thing that comes to mind is Facebook. Now, if you're like the waitress, when one time we went to Yard House that Stormy was trying to holler at and get his flirt on many, many, many moons ago, she basically said, and I quote, "Facebook is for old people." Remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
That's when I got off of Facebook.
So, with Facebook being for old people, it is no surprise that it is also the most successful one. And so I ran some numbers for you. I didn't run them. I looked them up. So Instagram has 1 billion people using the platform. A lot of them are from the acquisition from Facebook, which we'll talk about in a minute. Twitter has 330 million. TikTok has 680 million. And how much do you think that Facebook has?
How much does TikTok have?
TikTok has 680 million. Twitter has 330 million. Instagram has 1 billion.
Instagram has 1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So Facebook has 3.17 billion.
2.7.
That was my second guess.
Yes, I know it was. So 2.7 billion is the amount of people that is on Facebook. And there was a lengthy investigation that was undertaken by 46 different states and their attorney generals, including Colombia and Guam. And they basically allege that Facebook has systematically and strategically bought out their competition to just not have any type of rivals. And so the two biggest things that they're pointing out in this antitrust lawsuit is WhatsApp acquisition and Instagram acquisition. And so for those of you who don't really understand what a monopoly is, it's when one company has a huge overreach in one specific sector that if anybody comes up and tries to do anything different or tries to rival them, they can just go in and they can purchase them, sometimes through hostile takeover, sometimes by just purchasing them outright, depending on if they're publicly traded. We've talked about hostile takeovers before, I believe. So this is a big deal. And to be honest with you, the acquisition of WhatsApp was in 2014, and I had absolutely no idea that they bought WhatsApp.
You didn't know that? Oh, yeah. They own WhatsApp, Instagram, because WhatsApp had they're making up ground. So, let's buy them.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly, we're going to get to some of Zuckerberg's emails, and he pretty much says exactly that. And so the complaint is alleging that this conduct of them going and buying out their rivals harms competition, leaves consumer with fewer choices to do their personal social networking, and deprives advertisers of the benefit of competition. So basically, like when we were talking about the whole Disney monopoly thing, where they own about a little over 40% of all of the movies and shows, and they own part of Hulu and a whole bunch of networking movie studios and stuff like that. And what it was doing is it was making hard for people, if they run afoul of Disney, who are in that industry, to actually try to have a job. And so far, for whatever reason, Disney has escaped the radar. And so the lawsuit was brought by the Federal Trade Commission by the Technology Enforcement Division, who I did not even know existed. And there is a whole ton of states that were involved in this, 46 of them to be exact. And I'm not going to go through all of them. But Nevada is not on there. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Nevada is on there. So Nevada's on there. I don't know what the other 4 states that weren't there. Alaska's on there. So I should probably have went through all of this to see who wasn't in on it, but I didn't. So we're moving on. So they are looking for, the FTC is looking for a permanent injunction in federal court. And an injunction in federal court, an injunction, is that a decision, Zoe, or is that like a...
It's a way of stopping something from happening.
Okay. So it's like a preemptive, you can't do this kind of thing.
It's an order that restrains a person from beginning or continuing to do something. Okay.
And that's exactly what they're trying to do. So the FTC is seeking a permanent injunction in federal court. And what they want to do is they want to do divestitures of the assets that Facebook has, including Instagram and WhatsApp, which is the whole point of this antitrust lawsuit. They want to prohibit Facebook from imposing anti-competitive conditions on software developers. And so we'll see a little bit later that there has been other social networking sites who have tried to hook up with Facebook or been able to share posts through Facebook, and Facebook has shut them down and told them, no, you can't. And they want to require Facebook to seek prior notice and approval for all future mergers and acquisitions. And so, as we know, like I said, Facebook is the biggest one. And what they're saying is that they have so many people that they have a huge monopoly, and that they are just taking it to record profits. So last year, for example, Facebook generated revenues of over $70 billion and profits of more than $18.5 billion. And the FTC complaint goes on to say that that Facebook is specifically targeting things to maintain their dominance and crushing them in the exact thing with Instagram, where Instagram came online, it started getting more popular. So Facebook just came in and bought them. At first, Facebook tried to compete with them, and they tried to kind of modify their platform a little bit to try to be more Instagram-ish. And then when they couldn't do that, they just bought it outright, and then WhatsApp shortly after that. So they and like I said, Zuckerberg actually talks directly about that in a further email. Yeah, so they're alleging that by buying Instagram that they were trying to neutralize them. And so over the many years, they're saying that with these conditions that are in place, they're making it hard for people to develop new things. So they're for innovation to come into the market, for maybe a new way of doing things, for things to get a little bit cheaper, thus bringing in that advertising and having them a place that they can go and be competitive and advertise their products. So one of the things like Stormy, his company has a class, and one of the things that they talked about is that when you advertise on Facebook, this was many years ago now, that at the time there still wasn't big advertisers moving into the space, so it was still pretty reasonable. But since then, we've started to see, you know, the Coca-Colas and the bigger guys kind of get in there, which of course is just going to push all of the little guys who advertise on Facebook right out the door. And so that's one of the things that they're saying is part of the antitrust lawsuit. And so in 2013, Twitter launched. So this is an example of how I was talking to you about different third parties, where anytime there's a new innovation in the market, if Facebook can't compete with it, they just come in and they take it. And so, for example, do you guys remember Vine?
Yeah.
Vine. I remember Vine, the little 5-second, 7-second commercials.
Yep.
Videos. I forgot about Vine.
Yeah. So me too. So, and this is why. So in 2013, Twitter launched Vine, and it was, you were allowed to shoot, it was 6-second videos. And then what happened is that Facebook couldn't really compete with them because they were doing something different. So what they did was they ended up shutting it down. So Vine could not access or attached to Facebook in any way, shape, or form. And they basically kind of starved Vine out. And that's why Vine has just disappeared off the face of the earth. And so they're citing all of these examples as ways that Facebook has came into the space and specifically crushed its opponents. Well, so what Zuckerberg is up against is that when you're looking at an antitrust lawsuit, they're looking at the economic impact. So is it because this person, like, okay, we're going to go back to Standard Oil, okay, and the men who built America, he had such a monopoly that he was completely stifling competition. That's why the antitrust group came in and finally was able to break them up, and he became even richer than ever. But one of the things is that they have to prove an economic impact, like the fact that Facebook has done this, that they can track it and they can quantify that there's been economic damage that's been done to it. But what Zuckerberg has found himself in right now is that he has had emails that they have found and they're trying to use against him to prove malicious intent. And this is something that happened with Microsoft a number of years ago, and we'll talk about that in here in a minute. So on some of the quotes from the Mark Zuckerberg emails, in 2008, Zuckerberg claimed it's better to buy them than compete, and then later said that he was neutralizing a potential competitor. And that he, and of course, this comes on all the heels of the just horrible controversies and everything that has been going through Facebook with, different, Russian accounts coming in and all of that stuff. But the deal is that it might not be enough, because if they cannot specifically quantify that there was economic consequences due to what Facebook was doing, then just because the CEO is a dick doesn't mean that you can prove that they damaged on the economic side, which is the reason why you have to, it can be a little bit challenging to try to prove that if you're just specifically using the CEO's words against you. The problem is that there's a ton of emails. And so all of these are kind of going up right now as Facebook is getting ready to have their day in court, which I don't know exactly what that is. And it also makes this a little weirder, because when we had Standard Oil monopoly, when the Fair Trade Commission came up against Standard Oil and AT&T, you're talking about a tangible product. Now here you're talking about tech, you're talking about big data is what you're talking about. And so it's a little bit weird to try to see how they're actually going to do this. And so with the FTC, they're basically saying that that not only are they limiting competition, but given the current state of the situation, they are also attributing to like political infighting. And that they're polarizing. It's kind of like an icing on the top, that on top of this, they're polarizing because everything has been getting very, very, especially in this last political cycle that we just came off of, very, very polarizing. And they're trying to say that not only are they doing this, but they're also attributing to the fact that they're making people fight against each other, which that part I think is bullshit, because if you go on there
and I think Facebook is making people fight against each other.
Well, and I'm sure,
and I can tell you why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because their algorithm creates a series of echo chambers. You know, the way their algorithm is, so everything that's fed up in your echo chamber, or everything that's fed up in your feed is just part of your echo chamber. So now, you know, if you think about it, a lot of the people who started believing the conspiracy theories and QAnon and all that other stuff, a lot of those were just drummed up, and I don't think they did it intentionally, but a lot of those things were just were happened through the echo chambers that Facebook created. And I'm sure there's some smart, I'm sure they can correct it. But that echo chamber is pretty, you know, because if you look up something on Google, there's a lot of other stuff at the other platforms, but Facebook is like the master of these crazy echo chambers.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I saw, I can't remember that documentary that everyone's been talking about.
Social Network, right? Or no, what was it called, Stormy? You told us to watch.
Yeah, no, Zoe saw it. I think it was called, what is it called? I don't remember the name of it, but it's something
what you're shown specific, what each of us see in our Facebook feed is very different. And yeah, I didn't realize quite how involved that was. And it's very much tuned to what your beliefs are anyway. So you will.
Yeah, because if you're a little crazy, it feeds you more stuff that makes you more crazy because it feeds into your craziness. And you're like, I'm right. Because remember before Facebook, if you were crazy, well, you know, your crazy uncle had to talk to his family and like, oh, uncle, you're just crazy, right? He didn't have a whole bunch of other crazy uncles to talk to. Well, now what happens, crazy uncle can go on Facebook with his little conspiracy theory and other people have taken it deeper and deeper and deeper. Now he thinks he's right. Everyone else is wrong because crazy uncle's got backup.
I think it is. Oh, no, what was it called? It wasn't called the Social Network.
Dilemma.
The Social Dilemma. There's what it is.
I gotta watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's part of the antitrust lawsuit is they're saying that they have contributed to the polarization on top of all this stuff. Of course, just trying to prove malicious intent by Facebook. And then, of course, there's the opposite of that. So they're saying that, there's these little companies that are starting up. Facebook's coming in and buying them and eliminating their competition. Thus, they're taking out the innovativeness in the industry. But then the other side of that is that a lot of these social networks, you know, when you start up anything, you have to get through the shit at the bottom before you can start moving up and really make a name for yourself. And so one of the Facebook arguments is that, hey, because we were able to buy these smaller platforms, we actually kept them alive, like Instagram, who did not have nearly as many people on there until Facebook acquired them. And then they had the ability to start sharing between the two platforms. And so Facebook is coming in and saying, no, it's actually the opposite of that. We're actually encouraging it because as soon as we see something good, we're going to buy it up, thus continuing the option for it. The problem with that is that then you're still paying the same person for advertising, and it still doesn't address what the FTC is saying about people not having the ability to go to other platforms to compete for advertising dollars, etc.
The other problem with that is Facebook, they're full of shit. That's all I got to say. That's the other problem.
You want to expand on that?
Yeah, they're just full of shit. We want to do now, they're full of shit. So that's the other problem. That's it.
Okay.
Do you have any facts to back that up? Just they're full of shit. You just wanted to throw that in there?
I just want to throw that in there. Yeah.
Okay.
But then what about like Parler? They
got shut down. Well, now they're a website.
Well, they didn't get shut down. They got pulled off the Google
Amazon
store
servers
and the App Store, but they didn't get shut down. It's just that people who wanted to download them newly couldn't do it.
Right.
No, but they're when they got shut down. So the people who had on the app stores, their systems all the old stuff maybe is still on there, but they can't feed new stuff to the people that were on there. The app's useless now.
Are you sure? Because that's not what I heard. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, can you Google that, Stormy? Because now I'm curious.
Because what happens is Google, and the people can still see it on their phone. So Amazon kicked them off their server, Google kicked them off the App Store, and Apple kicked them off the App Store. So kicking them off the App Store basically would sever the connection to allow updates. So maybe whatever you had on there stays, but that prevents effective updates from happening on the app. Now they got a new server, which services like a lot of the right-wing websites. I forget the name of that server company, but so now they're just a website today.
Right, but that had nothing to do with Facebook, right?
Mm-mm.
That had to do with the fact that they were right-wing fascist bastards, right?
Sorry.
Pretty much. That probably had something to do with it.
Well, and I think the reason why Google was actually cited as kicking them off is because of the incitement of violence and the concern of, more riots and things like that. I think that's what they physically, what they actually quoted for it. And I don't know if they're back on their platform or not. So this is some of the quotes from some of the emails that they have very kind of briefly with Mark Zuckerberg, is that, he's quoted as saying it's better to buy them than compete. And that he allegedly wrote in a email that he saw another very disruptive photo sharing app. And in another email, he said Instagram was a threat. One thing about startups, though, is that you can often acquire them. So he put this in an email. And unfortunately for Facebook, there is a slight chance that we might see that the emails are enough to condemn and end up forcibly making them sell off Instagram and WhatsApp, because in the United States versus Microsoft, this was in 2001 when they accused Microsoft of having a monopoly. What they did was they were able to prove that they weren't able to prove. They came in and they basically said that, Microsoft was monopolizing the whole like Windows data, I don't know what it's called, operating system space, et cetera, et cetera. And what happened is that they happened to get a hold of a memo from 1995 in which Microsoft founder Bill Gates had identified Netscape. That's an old fucking word. All my guy friends used to call it Nutscrape, which is hilarious because every time I keep reading Netscape, I keep saying Nutscrape, and it's cracking me up. But in 1995, Bill Gates identified Netscape as a new competitor born on the internet, and then a few years later, he was allegedly had told another executive, "We're going to cut off Netscape's air supply." And then what ended up happening was they ended up impeding Netscape's access to window users. So they basically did kind of the same thing that Facebook did with Vine in this case. And because of those emails, Microsoft lost the case. So there is a precedent, I guess, if I'm using the term correctly, Zoe, that says that there was another antitrust lawsuit, and this was enough in that situation to actually break them up. And so this is going to be kind of interesting. But another thing that Facebook does have going for it is that Facebook has in their employee manual, it reads, quote, "If we don't create the thing that kills Facebook, something else will." And so their whole purpose is to identify things that are new technology and try to stay one step ahead of their game so that they can continue to innovate and do stuff like that. And after the whole Microsoft breakup, I thought this was very interesting, and I did not know this. After the whole Microsoft breakup, we started seeing that a whole bunch of companies started employing communication policies that they discourage the creation of documents like this, where they basically specifically single out, we're going to go get those guys, et cetera, and to polish this out. And then I'm going to turn it over to Zoe. From one of the emails, the chief financial officer outlined 3 reasons for buying Instagram. The first one was neutralize a potential competitor. The second one one was acquire talent. The third one was integrate their product with ours in order to improve our service. And Zuckerberg said it was a combination between 1 and 3. And then that's when that second part of the email came through that I just talked about, where they basically said, this is a very disruptive photo app and we're going to go take it out because it's easy to buy. And that's what they did. So you have 46 attorney generals filing the lawsuit against them, on top of the simple fact that you also have Guam and who else did I say? Colombia. So
Is that 46 plus Guam and Colombia, or are they part of the 46?
No, it's 46 states and then Guam and Colombia.
So what states are?
I don't know. I have a list of all the states that are part of it.
Got it.
Yeah, but I didn't take the time to go, it would be a lot easier instead of reading 46 states just to say the 4 states that aren't. So a fuck ton of people, y'all. And so it's going to be very interesting. And as we see from our series, which is still one of my favorite we've done, The Men Who Built America, when they broke up Standard Oil, made them way more money. So if in the event that they do end up successfully breaking up Facebook and they have to sell off WhatsApp and Instagram, I guarantee you that Zuckerberg and the high C-suites up there is going to have a golden parachute in there somewhere. And so even though they're going to break it up, it's probably going to make them way more fucking money.
Of course it will.
So that's interesting.
Did they
I
buy
thought
Instagram for like $1 billion?
I'm sorry?
They bought Instagram for like $1 billion.
Like
right?
$1 billion. Mm-hmm.
So now say, hey, I've got this platform with how many users? Because
1 billion, because
1 billion users. So if what's a user worth on their social media platform? $10 a user? That's $10 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably worth a hell of a lot more than $10 per user too.
Yeah, and I'm sure that I'm sure that part of they get it settled against them, or they get starting to get found guilty, I'm sure that one of the things the attorneys are going to argue is if we do have to break it up, we have to get fair market value. So then that brings in who the fuck is going to buy them. So it's just a very interesting conversation. And on the heels of the whole banning of the of Donald Trump's personal account on Twitter, and the concern with some people that have raised that big tech is getting too big, I just thought it was pretty poignant. And to be quite honest with you, I wanted to know why they were suing him, and so I thought that was interesting. So Zoe.
Yes, and my point about Parler was just to say that in terms of a monopoly, Parler obviously shows that you can go ahead and make a similar platform, right? I mean, they fucked it up because of their content and their awful followers, not by
bad
Facebook.
Coding too. Bad coding.
That also?
Oh my gosh!
I never looked at it.
So what happens is they created an app and their security was horrendous. I mean, just absolutely horrendous. So what happened was a hacker wanted to go in there when they knew they were about to get shut down. They're like, let's see what other information we can get so we can, help catch the people who were at the Capitol,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they said a lot of those people, they're probably on Parler. So not only did they only have to write like 2 lines of code to get in there, but so it was super easy for them to hack. But all of this, they got 90 terabytes of data because their system never got rid of data. If you deleted something off of Parler, it just added a delete tag without ever deleting it. And where Facebook and Google and different sites would normally get rid of a lot of the metadata if you take a picture and you upload a picture, so this way they don't know where you live. Well, Parler didn't do it. So if you took any pictures inside your home with your buddies, all the metadata was there. So they've got everything that they'll be going through. So there's probably going to be all sorts of crazy stuff that just happens. So I would probably feel, I don't know what their privacy policy says, but apparently there was a very, very poor coding on the site because they got everything very easily. And they put it, and it was just super easy, just a couple of lines of code.
Interesting.
There you go. Don't put it out there on the internet.
Yeah. So
all
stop those dick pics.
I was going to say exactly that. All those dick pics, all those unsolicited dick pics. I don't think I've ever asked a guy, hey, I'd really like to see a picture of your dick. Even if I like the dude and even if I liked his dick, I don't need a picture of his dick on my phone.
I send them to people all the time.
They're not that pretty, you guys. I got to be honest with you. Your dicks are not that pretty. I mean, your dicks are functional. Women's bodies are beautiful.
Obviously, I must not have sent you one of mine. You know what? I'll change that today.
Yeah, no, you can keep that. You can keep that for you and your chickie.
Okay.
So, all right,
Keep it to
Zoe. So
yourself.
go ahead and,
Okay.
and let's round this out with some fun stuff.
Yeah, well, in our usual way of trying to make tenuous links between music and the topic of discussion. I've tried to find 10 songs that had trust in the title. Couldn't do it. So I found a couple of songs with trust in, and then I just expanded the whole trust, truth, honesty, just to get us to 10 songs. So here we go, kids. All right. Yay. So thank you. First song was A Matter of Trust by Billy Joel.
Oh, A Matter of Trust.
That's a great song, though.
Yeah.
A Matter of Trust.
No.
He does this for every fucking song I
it's
say.
not,
It's the same rhythm. It's the same
bit, yeah,
tune.
same beat.
It's
Dude, that's how he has
lovely.
sex, I'm sure. Just
Yeah.
it's a matter of trust.
Trust.
That's the song.
Okay. Next one, Trust in Me, Etta James.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know that
Trust in me. I know that one too.
Oh yeah. You must know this one. Trust Justin Bieber. You love the Biebs, don't you? Trust?
Trust.
one. Never heard that song.
Me neither, but I was getting
Trust.
desperate. So we
Yeah.
moved away from Trust because I couldn't
Okay.
find any more that
Actually,
I
there's one
recognize.
song.
Oh
There's
yeah,
a
go.
song that I can State of Love and Trust by Pearl Jam, which is off
Oh.
of the I believe it is the singles soundtrack. And I'm not a huge Pearl Jam fan. I appreciate everything they did for music. That song kicks so much ass. State of Love and Trust is. If you like grunge and you don't know that song, you got to go get it. It's great.
Go get it.
How
Yeah.
about you, Stormy? Any songs with trust in that you can come up with before I continue on?
Trust these nuts.
Oh, perfect. I'll carry on then.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's great. Then another song by Billy
Little song.
Joel, Honesty.
Did you say Billy Joel?
Some people say that. I don't.
No,
but I
no
thought
one
I
says
would-
Billy
Nobody
Joel.
says
They
that.
do.
What
Nobody.
is that?
do.
Nobody
Billy
says.
Joel?
Listen, if
Yeah.
and here's what you do for you listeners out there. If you know anyone who says Billy Joel, call our number
Yeah. Tell us if you didn't have sex on Monday and how you say Billy
And-
Joel.
and how you
I
say Billy Joel.
I say Billy Joel, but anyway, honesty. That's where that one came in. Next one, Truth and Honesty, Aretha Franklin. Love me some Aretha. No one's going to try and sing that. Lovely. Would I Lie to You, Eurythmics. We all know that one.
We've talked
Would
about
I
that one
lie
before.
to you? Yep. Okay, great. I do like this next one. Policy of Truth, Depeche Mode.
Oh yeah, in the policy of truth. That is a great song.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we're getting more and more desperate now as the songs go down. Lion Eyes, Eagles.
Oh,
That's a good song too.
Yeah, it's a good
Great
song.
lyrics. Really tells you a story. For
Yeah.
you youngins out there who are listening to the podcast, seriously, it's
They've switched off by now. They've
it's
gone.
lyrically. Yeah, they're like,
gone.
we're
They're
like, what the fuck
what
are they
are they
talking about?
talking about?
They've gone
Song?
to masturbate for
tell
the
stories.
seventh time.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Shit.
Suspicious Minds, Elvis Presley.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Oh, I love Suspicious
Suspicious
Minds.
Minds, yeah.
No, okay. And then lastly, this one's for Mel. I know that she'll know this one. Liar, Motorhead.
Oh,
Which is the opposite
Of trust.
Trust.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
See what I
like
did
what
there?
you
Do you
I see
see
what you
how
did there.
that was just the arc there from
It's amazing.
trust all the way to liar. God, I can't tell you how many hours I spent
I know.
poring over this. I mean, yeah, I really put my time in today. Thank
And
you and good night.
yeah, thank
I
you.
get my coat.
Yeah, and I know that was a little bit of a stretch, but we try to kind of wash away the taste of some of the financial stuff. And I've been having this is going to be a bitch, you guys. I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to do it. I've been having multiple requests for cryptos. People want to know
Yep.
what it is about. They want to know what I think. They want to know the goods, bads, and the uglies of it. And, that's going to be a series. And that is going to put us on a path of probably a 4-part series. And unfortunately, I think it has to come up here really, really quick. So this will be kind of a nice light episode, but I think that we're going to be launching into cryptos here within the next couple weeks. And unless something super crazy happens that takes us away from that. So for those of you who have been requesting crypto information, it's coming. And I will get that researched as soon as I possibly can. Hopefully the next time, by the time you hear this episode, then the following week, we should be starting on the cryptocurrency one. And for those of you who are on Clubhouse, we are also on Clubhouse. We have actually a room tonight at 7 o'clock, which is not going to help you because you're listening to this a week after. but we're going to try to start doing that once a week. So we're going to have the guests on that we've had on the show. So if you had a guest that you absolutely loved and you wanted to have the ability to be able to ask them a question yourself, you're going to be able to jump on Clubhouse with us. We're going to try to get them all back so that you can ask them questions and have more of an interactive thing. And then other than that, make sure you follow us on social media at Finances Other F Word. Pick up our book, Finances, the Other F Word, Another F Word to Love. Pick up Stormy's book, The World's Best Buyer Persona System. And follow Lily Lou Mittens on Instagram. And I think with that, we out this bitch.
What?
Yes? Are we out?
Have we told people to call us?
Yes. Oh, okay.
We're
So
out.
we've told people to call us, and we're on Patreon. We're out.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Zoe. It's not working. I have to edit this out. Why aren't you working?
Why didn't you say goodbye, Stormy?
Stormy never
So
says
rude.
goodbye.
Because I'm rude.
You got no manners.
And I just sent
Manners
you.
cost nothing. And that's
Thanks for listening. If you like us, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.